Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about a serious and dangerous hurricane that's developing in the Atlantic, heading towards the Bahamas and then eventually Florida. So it just in the recent past half an hour or so we've seen an eye developing here, so you can see there's an eye development, but in the last few frames it's ever so slightly starting to cloud over, but then it should reappear. And the reason why it's doing that is because when the eye is clearing, there's like a rash of like thunderstorms wrapping around it, and like that's a sign that it's trying to intensify and consolidate the eye. So the eye will go through probably a few cycles of clearing and clouding and clearing and clouding. Then eventually it should start to sustain itself. And another reason why it could fluctuate is the upper level low that's like sitting around here is drawing some southerly winds from the Caribbean, Eastern Caribbean. It's becoming less of a factor now because it's starting to pull away and eventually towards the northwest. But it's still enough now that it's impacting a tiny bit of shear towards the southwest of the storm and training ever so slightly a little bit of dry air. It's not becoming like much of a factor now, and over time as it goes towards the northwest, it will become less of a factor, and it's going to enter in a more favorable environment. So really, like at the minute, like for probably the next 5 to 10 hours, the eye will probably like fluctuate, and that it'll probably come in and out, and that. But eventually, once Hurricane Dorian, well, soon to be Major Hurricane Dorian, like once it starts to go northwest, it'll start to go above the upper level low, and then cause at the minute, like, so the upper level low is doing something like this, like with the winds and shear. So once it gets above that, like when the wind shear starts to go westerly, it'll become in sync with the motion of Dorian, so the wind shear won't become an issue at all, really. And actually, like once Dorian starts to come towards the northwest, upper level low, it'll actually enhance the outflow of Dorian, so it's going to help like it's going to help the dual outflow, and it's going to help the breathing. So basically, like when it's breathing, it's like able to ventilate better. It's like able to like gain more moisture easier, and it's just easier to intensify like when it has like outflow. So really, like, Dorian's well on its way of becoming a major hurricane. In the National Hurricane Center is forecasting a category 4, like when it heads towards the Florida coast, and there's so much uncertainty. I can't stress enough, there's still so much uncertainty, and I'm going to show you towards the end of the video how much uncertainty there is. So if you're anywhere in the Bahamas and all the way from like Georgia to Florida, you just cannot let this you just can't like let your guard down, because if you're on the edge of the cone and think, oh well, I'm on the edge of the cone, it's probably like not going to affect us that much. Even if you are on that with the cone, it's likely to create massive impacts outside the cone, because one, the uncertainty is massive, so it could track easily north or south. It just depends on the ridge, and obviously I showed that like as we're going throughout the video. But it's going to create massive storm surge, and it's going to be on a wide field as well. So like obviously when the hurricanes start to come towards Florida, and they might go in for another eye wall replacement like second it's possible. Once that happens, the wind field will expand, so the wind field is going to expand probably. It's going to affect a wider area, so just do not let your guard down. Even if you're in South Carolina, don't let your guard down. If you're on the Gulf Coast, do not let your guard down, because there's some models that are sneaking through Florida and then up towards the panhandle of Florida potentially. So just don't let your guard down at all. If you're anywhere from the Gulf Coast, Florida, Georgia, even South Carolina, just do not let your guard down. Yeah, let's see what the latest frames are showing. So here's eye development. In the latest frames, as you can see, it's starting to ever so slightly cloud over. But as I said, that's probably due to fluctuations. And if we look at the models here, and obviously don't pay attention to the pressure, it's way off the pressure. But the latest run and the new one's about to come out soon. But as we go through time, it's obviously intensifying, and then once it gets around that upper level low, it's starting to turn towards a more of a northwesterly turn. And the move in this, in how fast it's moving as it heads towards Florida is critical. If it's slower and it's basically stalling earlier than forecasted, the ridge is able to exit out quicker, and like a trough is able to eat away than high quicker, which then could allow it to take more of a northeasterly turn up towards the Carolinas and Georgia. So that could be a scenario. The other scenario is what the NHCR forecast. It'll be slow towards landfall, but not as slow is what it could be, then that's able to make landfall and like by and like obviously the high pressure, like the steerage flow is gonna be like they're still with like a lot of influence still, so it's gonna be, so then the hurricane has no option but to go westwards into Florida, and then by the time it gets towards the central Florida, then it's able to turn north because the ridge will eventually exit. Or the third option, the ridge is a lot stronger and further south here, and then what the hurricane could do is hit South Florida towards the Miami area, then it could curve up and then hit the panhandle of Florida. So there's 3 scenarios. The ridge could be weaker than thought, and then it could turn off to the north but still create impacts, or it could be strong as what the NHC are forecasting and make direct landfall in Florida. The third option could be even stronger than forecasted, then it'll make landfall potentially in Florida and then into the Gulf, re-intensify potentially, and then hit the panhandle of Florida. So there's a lot of options on the table, and that's why I'm saying do not let your guard down. If you're in the panhandle of Florida, all around Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, you just can't let your guard down. And then in the latest run, the GFS is making landfall on, well, like towards the south of Florida, like north of like Miami. So, and as I said, do not pay attention to the pressure, as the pressure is way off anyway. So there's nothing like stopping it really from becoming an extremely dangerous hurricane. Like a Cat 4 is probably likely now. Category 5, I'm not going to put my neck out on the line say it's going to come a Category 5, but if everything's perfect, if the atmospheric state is absolutely perfect, it has everything there to become it. But it's unlikely for now, but I'm not going to rule it out. So just for now, I'm just going to say probably a Cat 4, 140 miles an hour, what the NHC are saying. But don't like I wouldn't be surprised if it's stronger than that. So that's what I'm going to say for that. So then it makes landfall in Central Florida, and then the hurricane actually is also slightly in the Gulf on this run, but it's not enough to intensify, and then exits off to the northeast and potentially becomes a very strong windstorm as it exits out to the Atlantic. And then if we quickly look at the wind shear here, hang on, I'll have to go on here. If we look at the wind shear, like for Dorian, like as I said, it looks pretty favorable. If it loads quick enough, right? So as I was saying, it's really like favorable. So at the moment, you can see the upper level low here creating like southerly shear, and it's not low, it's probably 10 knots, but it's enough to potentially disrupt it slightly, and like that's why it's like fluctuating with the eye still. But once it exits out, and then it becomes in sync with like with the wind shear, like so it's like the same like motion with it. It's not actually like impacting it, because well, like if the storm, like, so obviously storms like rotate anti-clockwise here, so it's going anti-clockwise, then that's coming from the south. There's a massive divergence in like direction, like with the winds. So if like around the southern part of the storm, the winds are going east, and then the winds from the south are coming north, then that's a directional shear, especially in the upper levels. So that's gonna basically create something like some shear, like that's what Dorian's like seeing at the moment. But as we go in time here, as it goes towards the Bahamas, it becomes in sync with the upper level low, and there's no shear at the moment. And then as it gets towards Florida here, it like it's basically, there's more or less no shear. There could be maybe 5 knot shear towards the northern part of the storm in the upper levels, but that's not enough. It's very light, probably not going to impact Dorian if at all really. So basically, like, shear looks really favorable all the way to run to Florida, and that's just concerning. So basically, there's no shear for really forecasted. So like probably shear, well, like weaker shear from now for the next 12 hours to 18 hours, just say. After that, the shear should lighten up, the dry air like lighten up, and because of the outflow, it'll moisten up that atmosphere even more. Then that's just going to create further strengthening, and I won't, and like as I said, I think it's going to become a Category 4 in the coming days. And if we look at the air reconnaissance craft here, so obviously this is recon, like lower level reconnaissance that is going through Dorian at the minute. One of them is just left now, but like there's still one more in the storm currently, and obviously like when both of them leave, more will start coming out and investigating the storm. And really it's a good time because the eye is clearing, and they've been finding high-end category 2 winds in the northeast quadrant of the storm, and they're just about to make another pass on the southeastern side right now. They're going to go through the eye wall again, so it'd be interesting to see like what they find. But they're definitely finding high-end category 2 winds of 110 miles an hour, and once the eye clears and once it sustains itself, it's like the eye is able to heat up, and then it's able to really drop the pressure in like a quick rate. And once the pressure drops, the winds will pick up in the upper levels, and it'll take time. It's like a time lag. It'll take time for the winds in the upper levels drop down to the surface. So saying 10 hours time, the pressure went from 972, which is now, to 962 like by in the morning. The winds in the upper levels could be a high-end category 3, but on the surface it could be only a low-end category 3, and it could take hours and hours for the winds at the higher levels of the atmosphere to propagate down to the surface. So it's definitely intensifying in the moment. It's not rapidly intensifying by any stretch at the minute, but it's definitely intensifying in the days to come. I wouldn't rule out a rapid intensification. The structure, like on microwave imagery, isn't the best for rapid intensification. It's there to do it, but there's the structure, there's more of a chance for like double eye walls to form in that, and there's even signs on the latest one that there's a tiny like slick sliver of like an eye wall, but that could just like diminish over time. But I'm not saying it's going to go through eye wall replacement like cycles. It will, like probably more or less in the future, but the eye wall that's got in the minute are more prone to it. But it might still not happen. Like just the chances increases of eye wall replacement cycles. And even if they do, what will happen is obviously the eye wall replacement cycle will happen, and then like the outer eye wall closes in on the inner eye wall, and it'll weaken slightly. Then when it consolidates, or when the outer eye wall becomes the dominant eye wall, then it can start to re-intensify again. And normally the wind field will expand, and the eye will get bigger potentially, and then it can rapidly intensify even further. So as I said, and if it's well on its way to a category 3, probably later on in today, and forecast has become a category 4 as it heads towards Florida. So if you're in Florida, the Panhandle, Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, make sure you got your hurricane preparedness ready. If you haven't, you shouldn't have done it days ago. So now's the time to do it. Time is running out now. You have to do it. So if you're in the Florida like regions, the Panhandle, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, I hope you have prepared, and you've got your hurricane plan ready, and like everything like ready, because it's dangerous. Hurricane should not be taken lightly, and it should be taken very, very, very seriously. This could be a memorable storm. So yeah, I hope you found this like video informative. I'll be doing like more videos on this in like the days to come. So I'll be doing an update tomorrow on the system. So I hope you found it informative. And I'll be back with another video tomorrow.